The last ceremony is a sprint retrospective, which is all about how the team itself operates during the sprint. This is where you ask what worked well for us, what didn't, and what could we do better next time. The retrospective is often forgotten, and this shouldn't be the case, because that's at the end the ceremony which drives your improvement. So the retro typically happens right after the sprint or after the sprint review. Its purpose is to keep the team improving. You may decide to tweak your definition of done, how you handle code reviews, or how you communicate blockers in stand-ups. A really good example we had a couple of months ago. So we realized that our reviews, our pull requests and code reviews are taking too long. So we analyzed based on the data, we used Omano for that. We analyzed based on the data that as soon we have more lines in reviews, it exponentially increased the time for the review. So we reminded the team to keep reviews short, code lines less, and instead doing more reviews. And these are classic examples which can be discussed in a retro. Then you can execute, you can measure the effect if something improved, or you adjust. Why it matters? It's the engine of continuous improvement. Over time, you gather data like velocity or defect rates, or like in my example, the review time, and combine it with the team's feedback. So systematically getting better. That's how Agile stays agile, by never staying complacent. A simple format is set the stage, make it safe to speak up, gather data like velocity charts, mood checks, review times, cycle times, and so on. Generate insights out of this. What are the root causes? This is often based on feedback. Decide on clear action items, 1 or 2 only per retro, and close by assigning owner for each improvement. This is super important. When you put in one retro 10 improvements, it's too much. So, and you definitely will not act on it. When you're taking one after another, or maximum 2 per retro, and you have clear actions items on it, your chance for improving is much higher as taking more. So what are best practices? First of all, time box it. 30 to 60 minutes is common for a 2-week sprint. Let the Scrum Master facilitate, but don't be afraid to rotate. Blend objective data like time to deliver stats or the cycle times and so on with subject feelings, like someone felt rush. This is super important. And as I said, pick only a few improvements so you can actually follow on it. Important here is for not sticking just to data or just to feelings. You need to find a way to combine this to really gather insights. Data, especially cycle time, lead time, time and status stuff, and so on, can lead to the aspect that this is a 100% truth. But don't fall in this trap. Data is the truth, yes, but it's depending on how people act in your task system like Jira, and it definitely need to mix with the feelings and the learnings of the sprint. So what are pitfalls? First of all, turning into a blame session or letting complaints run on without discussing solutions. Deciding on 10 improvements you never track or never take actions on it. Or ignoring data because it's inconvenient. Retros are for honest reflection and incremental fixes, not for finger pointing. Let's jump a little bit more detailed on it. So because it is a complex meeting and it's a complicated meeting. What's the reason for that? We as humans like to complain about. That's what is normal. So means the moderation here need to happen from the Scrum Master, and the Scrum Master need to balance the complaints with the solution discussions. And there are a couple of techniques for it, and we will come to them in a couple of seconds. As we said also already, don't take 10 points and try to combine data and the feelings of the team to get the real insights. If you're a loose Atlassian tool stack, then Jira and Confluence can be used to store your retro notes, while velocity charts or other metrics will help you to see the trends. If your sprint keeps missing half of its goals, that's a clue to adjust planning or handle dependencies better. This meeting can have a lot of different structures. So important is, as we said already, that you're not taking too many improvement points. So try to find your structure in Jira or Atlas. I will show you how it works in Atlas and in Confluence, and also in NASA, not in other stand-up apps, to document the right things and also creating the transparency to the team on what you're working and on what not at the moment. So how can we do now a sprint review in Jira? You remember we closed the sprint, a pop-up popped up and asked us if we want to create a page for a retro, and we said yes, but we have done anything for this yet. So that's why we're now jumping in. Preparation phase of the retro perspective. It creates, Jira creates here in Confluence in your connected pages, this page and this page. I just resorted it that I have here something like a folder structure, but this page also gives you then these table of contents. I can go to it and I have already a relatively good template. So what I need to prepare here is the date. So means I type in here simple, what's today? Today is this one. I'm in Europe, so means this is my date format. So it's another team who's doing it. And then I mention again all the participants, which is normally your team. So preparation is done. So then we have start doing, stop doing, and keep doing. And this could be now already the meeting part. So it depends on you. If you want to guide people that they fill out the stuff, I personally like it more. Think about it. They have more time to think about their topics. They don't forget stuff. It's much easier for them and so on. So my recommendation is that you send now this page to your teammates and they should write down what they want to do here. And this will then look like, let's assume we are in the meeting now, then we should start doing moving stand-ups later because conflicting with breakfast. Could be start doing. So so then we learned a little bit, we overplan more and more. So that's what we have seen. So it means we have stopped doing stop doing to overplan. And so on. So you have then a lot of these contexts prepared. Keep doing, or wait, here's a typo. So keep doing as the review meetings, for example, or pull requests have a perfect size at the moment. So this is what you're getting as preparation and what you can then discuss in the meeting. In the action items, that's what you also should discuss in the meeting, are then the activities of this wish list here. You can use different techniques here, as I mentioned in the presentation already. I also will provide in the handout a couple of more ideas how you can change the question here to have this open meeting. Important is that your retro meeting need to be a safe place for open discussion. It's not a hard judging or blaming. It's really identifying points for improvement. So that's the main goal here. So what you can do in addition is you can put also statistics in it. So you have the possibility like putting in here Jira reports, Jira charts, and so on. I wouldn't do it. The main reason for that is focus here on the feelings of the team and on the direct feedback. The Scrum Master, product owner, and team leads can do in a smaller group, then check the reports if they see stuff. They can mention it in the meeting, but you shouldn't move this meeting to that everybody is looking to a chart and try to identify, is it good or bad, whatever. These need to be prepared from the Scrum Master and product owner, and this is a complete different topic. But these learnings out of charts should be then here mentioned also from the Scrum Master or product owner. You update the page, you save the page. Important is that you keep the action items. And for this, I want to show you an additional functionality. Let's, by the way, we don't have action items. We should have some. So action item is reschedule the stand up to 10 a.m. Yeah, and let's reschedule stand up 10 a.m. So, I mean, there are a couple of features and possibilities in Confluence also finding these things, but normally they are gone. And this is a little bit bad, especially in more complex parts. I mean, we said pick only 1 or 2 action items per retro, but you have maybe more ideas. And especially when you start with a new Agile or Scrum structure in your team, or you change a lot of things, you will have a lot of these start doing, stop doing, and keep doing things. And this is then super hard to have it here in the action item list. But it shouldn't be also in your Jira project, because it's not really fitting to the Jira project. So yes, you can do a separate Jira project, but there is a cooler thing what you can do. So you have in Jira as well, when you go to your project, let's open the menu, goals. So, and behind goals is a tool which is called Atlas. So, and you can easily use this for all the feedback out of the retro meetings and creating proper actions. And then you can track them and you can be transparent with your team what the status of that is, what the activities are, and so on. It's an amazing tool for that. So when you are in Atlas, you can see your stuff where you worked on in the past. You need to be a little bit careful. It's cross-instance and cross-project. So all the stuff what you're doing here is relatively transparent. So check out the permissions and so on. But the goal of this tool is to create transparency. It can be used for OKRs. Also, it's really cool. I like it. So what you can simple now do with your project is the point we had, reschedule the stand-up. I mean, that's not a huge task or not a huge action, but let's take it. Reschedule stand-up meeting to 10 a.m. So normally your actions are a little bit more complex. Yeah? I can select here a simple color of the project, an emoji. I can also search for epics. I don't want to do it. I don't link it as private. So I create it now. And now I have a nice structure. What are we doing? Why we are doing it? And how will a success look like? And that's really, really good. Because yes, Impel explain now what we are doing. It was feedback based on retro meeting NASA 3. And we want to reschedule a stand-up meeting. So why we are doing it? It was conflicting with breakfast. And how does success look like? Everybody is well feeded in the stand-up meeting. So you're getting the idea. So you can now put followers to it. You can also organize it in goals. You can create complex structures. The interesting point here is that you can say we are working on it and you can give updates to it. And this helps a lot when you have more complex problems where the action items are let's say you want to improve an infrastructure or something like that, or you want to have an education plan, and everybody need to attend to a training, to the Agile training, for example. So then you set up this as a project or as a goal. A goal can have then these projects. You have, again, an additional structure here, but don't make it too complicated. Start with the projects. Set up a project. Everybody need to attend the training. Then you have the followers, and then people can write updates about it, and everybody is informed. It's a little bit a mix of OKR management, issue tracking, task tracking, but combining it with a transparency of a social media-like tool with a feed, what's going on, doing posts and so on. Really cool idea. Give it a try. Yes, it's a little bit additional management overhead, but it's much better as having the action items not somewhere visible, because it can get relatively quickly lost. Good. That's how you do a retro meeting in Jira and Confluence. So we have seen how you can do it with the Atlassian tool stack. Now let's jump into how it looks in NASA. The interesting point here again is a preparation. So everybody prepares a meeting, but then in the live meeting mode, we have a proper agenda and we can use methods like start, stop, continue. All the stuff is then properly stored in the team journal and can be reviewed in the next retro if the stuff is achieved. So let me show to you how I do a sprint review with NASA. And I also include a second part here in Jira because there are also other ways to have all the improvement actions out of a sprint retro. So we're not talking about a review, sprint retro, to have them also visible and available. So first of all, and not a lot of people are aware of that, the stuff is possible. What I created here in my project is a second board, and I called it improvements. And yes, there's a small typo. So how did I do it? I created a separate project, a software project, but in Kanban style. This is at the moment completely empty. So if you don't want to use Atlas for tracking the issues, you can also do it just with a separate project. The interesting point is that in your work, when you go to boards, you can view all boards and you can create here new boards. And these boards can be based on Jira filters. So on JQL filters. So means that's how you can combine two projects in one board and to have a second board in the project. So what I'm doing here is simple have this second board for the improvements available. So I go then to my NASA app again. And I have already the NASA Sprint Retro. So my structure is here. Start, stop, keep, whoops, I was a little bit quick. Start, stop, keeping, and actions. Similar to my meeting with the Confluence page. And I take now here for the NASA app, the improvements board as basement. But NASA also allows me to mix it up. So with my JQL filters, I can still have access to my issues out of the last sprint. And I created here two filters, issues not done from the last sprint and issues done in the last sprint. And this helps me to prepare my meeting again as a Scrum Master or from the product owner role that I want to discuss meetings XYZ. Also, when I refresh here now, I can probably see updates what colleagues already made. So yes, user brought up again her topic with moving the stand-up meeting. So, and that's fine. So I want to say here that create the About Us page, that I want to have this additional learning or that we should involve the marketing people earlier in planning. Yeah, earlier in planning could be a classic one, a classic learning in the retro. So because I learned here, it was a back and forth. And that's a little bit the reason why I think we should do it. It was a back end. It was, well, let's do it. So general idea here for having them earlier in meetings on planning sessions. So I don't have anything for stop from my side. Keep going. I can see user said also something here that the PR sizes are perfect and no action so far. So means what I'm doing now, simple. I start the meeting again. We need to make sure that everybody joins the meeting. So as we have seen, Andy has nothing prepared for the meeting. And that's fine. But you have a much better structured way here that people can prepare something instead of sending around the Confluence page, checking it constantly. So you get here now the idea who has prepared something or is joining the meeting. And now you can run through the topics. And you're also a little bit more focused on the point here because of the agenda. So I can ask now as a Scrum Master, okay, what should we start? Yeah, and then we discuss the points. We discuss this point here as well. Okay, and then we define, action item. And now my additional project kicks in. So I can create now here an issue. So move stand up to 10 a.m. So that's the action item out of the discussion. Create an issue out of it, and using now my improvement project and have user automatically as assignee. So this is a different way to track the action items in a separate project, not in your original project. And in the NASA app, we have the possibility without changing screens to have access to both. This will also work with the Confluence page, but here it's a little bit smoother. So then we run through a meeting, we are discussing the stops. We can also have simple additional notes here. Keep the feedback honest, collect the feedback from your colleagues here, make it in notes. Also, when it's already clear that will probably not be an action item for now. So here are all the notes and so on. And then you go to the next point, discussing it again. You're getting the idea. The interesting point is in the second retro, you can copy then the actions from the previous retro to your action list again, and you can control, is it better now? And that's, I think, the most important part in the retros. Taking feedback, collecting it here completely, having it then automatically stored in the team journal, but having a possibility to check the action items if everybody is on track, if the changes have already an effect, and so on. So meeting is finished, and everything is now stored in the team journal. That's how you do a sprint retro with the NASA app and the second project in Jira, where you track your action items for the improvements. Here are some ideas and variations. Try different retro formats and maybe change them constantly to keep it fresh. Starfish is one. Start, stop, continue, more of or less of. Or you can use glad, sad, mad, or an emotional check-in. Or a team health checks like rating moral or confidence. Don't let retros become stale. Creativity keeps the people engaged. We are also combining it where the meetings with continuous surveys. So not after every sprint, but once a quarter or every 8 weeks, we have a survey where we ask anonymous every developer and every teammate how they feel. And very often the data out of the surveys plus the retro give you ideas for the right action points. So what are the key takeaways for the retrospective? It's your chance to reflect on how you work, not just on what you built. It fosters continuous improvement, and it's the safe place for the team. By tracking action items, you avoid talking about the same issues again and again. And this makes sure that you improve sprint after sprint.